Hello, welcome to mission tutorial series I'm going to be doing for ArmA 3. Um, this is a tutorial video specifically for first RB members that are wanting to build missions, both mini ops and main operations. For those purposes, we're going to be splitting this up into different parts here. So the first part is basically setting up your config and your folders and stuff to get your mission to have a base. So first of all, what you want to do is you want to go to the map that you're wanting to build the map on. Just for the example or the tutorial I'm going to be doing on Pakistan. So just going to get started. So first of all, what you want to do is you want to be in game, and to start a folder, you basically need to save your game. So I'm going to be here in Pakistan. You're just going to go down here, and what you want to do is you want to just make sure that you have set editing mode on, you want to make sure that you have a unit selection tool, single unit, and then what you want to do is just double left click anywhere on the map. For example, I'm just going to do a little area in the southern airfield. If you get errors, just doesn't matter. Either way, it'll still work. If you do get serious errors, like can't play this mission or something, then you're doing something wrong. So right now I'm using the first RB mod pack along with some other extras, so if you see any extra mods, just ignore them. So these are all of our units in here that we could use. I personally like to use the RHS ones or the vanilla ones. For now we'll just go with the vanilla ArmA 3 units. So we'll go to class, make sure you go to men, and then make sure it doesn't really matter who you choose, just choose anybody from here as long as just keep it as rifleman. It's the easiest way. And then make sure that he's set as player. Make sure if you want, it doesn't really matter about that. We'll go over all this in a later time. So make sure it's just player. Rank doesn't matter. Vehicle lock, all that stuff doesn't matter. Just make sure he's under NATO or whatever faction you're using. NATO, men, rifleman. So what you want to do is when you're done with that, just hit OK here, and then you'll see you have a unit with a red circle around him. So now what you want to do is you want to go over to the markers selection here, just double click anywhere, and this is going to be your respawn point. So basically to make missions join in progress and make it to where it's not just a one life count, just do respawn underscore west, and then that's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about the text, you don't have to worry about the axis A or B or angle. Preferably leave it as empty, leave it as a shape as empty, color default, and we'll go over more advanced markers in a later time. When you're done with that, respawn underscore west, make sure it's all lowercase. It doesn't matter, you could have it all caps or whatever, but I prefer to just have it all lowercase. So you're gonna hit OK, place that anywhere you want, and then once you're done with this, you're basically done with the in-game portion of this part. So just go to save or save as, and then we're going to call this mission underscore tutorial. So you could name it whatever you want. Just note that if you do put spaces in here, when you do go to your folder structure, it will show some weird image like a star or like an and symbol or something like that. So if you don't want that, if you want it to just be organized and easy to read, just make sure you put underscore or even just a simple dash. Just make it easy. So make sure it's saved as user mission. There you see there's a whole selection. Again, we'll go over these at a later time. So user mission, save as, and hit OK. And then once you do this, it'll probably take some time saving it. Your game has not frozen. It just takes a while for it to save. I spelled tutorial wrong, but we'll stick with it anyways. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so now it's done saving, so you can see at the top left here, it now should say mission tutorial. Actually, I'm gonna spell it right this time. Okay, there we go. Mission tutorial, say your mission name up here. And everything else, all these options, we'll go over at a later time. For now we're just going to stick to getting your config and your files working. Anyways, we're going to switch to desktop mode here, so let's switch to that. Alright, so here on our desktop, and we're not going to be worrying about any files here on the desktop, so don't really worry about this. We may drag some files onto here, but mainly just for drag and dropping purposes. We're not going to be paying attention to any of these, except for the Steam app shortcut, which we'll probably use at a later time. So first thing you want to do is you want to open a Windows Explorer window. So open this. You don't actually have to go to Steam apps. So basically what you're going to do is you want to go to your documents, and then inside your documents in your PC drive, whatever drive you use, you're going to want to find ArmA 3 other profiles. If you do not find this folder, I recommend you search your computer for wherever it could be. So ArmA 3 other profiles, and then you want to find whichever profile you use to create your missions. So mine is the Staff Sergeant Drifter, 1st RB, and then you're going to have these set of folders and then some other documents from your last name changes and whatnot. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to missions, the missions folder, and I'm going to have a ton of missions since I do a lot of mission editing and creating, so I have a ton. What you want to do is you could arrange it from date modified. That's the easiest way to do it. So if you do that, you'll see mission tutorial is right here on the top, and then you'll see that there's 12. You can see it's the actual date, 12/18/2015. 12/18/2015. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that, and you should have a mission.sqm file in here. That is exactly what you want, but what you want is you also want config files in here, description.ext file, and then you're going to need a config file. So we're going to go back here, and I'm going to borrow one of the files out of my other terrains and whatnot. So we're going to go here, so description.ext, and the init is the config file that you'll need. And for now, these are the only two that you were going to need, so I'm going to open these up. I'm going to go back, and I'll provide the files in here. And you just go, so you go to mission tutorial, or whatever the name of your mission was, and just paste those files right in. So now you have description.ext, and then an init.sqf. So first we're going to go over the init.sqf and what it does. I prefer opening it with Notepad++. So you can see here that this is where basically all the scripts run, and since we're not running any scripts, we could just get rid of this. There's no point in having that. So the init.sqf is where it initializes and launches all the scripts that you run. For now, we're not going to worry about this because we're not going to get into adding in scripts in the mission yet. So this will be blank for now, and we'll go over this in a later tutorial. So let's exit out of that. Now we're going to go to description.ext. This is where your respawn and everything is located, and also you're going to have some scripts here. So for now, again, we're just going to get rid of some things that we're not going to go over in this tutorial yet. Alright, so you can see that we're going to have our author, which I always just put 1st Ranger Battalion. Unload mission name, this could be whatever you want it to be. So this is basically when loading the mission. This is what's going to show up as the name. So let's do mission tutorial test. That'll work. And then unload mission. This is basically like you could put area of operation, Pakistan, or whatever you want to put here. For now, we'll just put something random. So something like that. Alright, so now we're going to be in the respawn. So this is where the join in progress stuff comes in. Now join in progress is not an actual script that you have to paste in here. It's just going to be this right here, the respawn functions and stuff. So respawn, make sure it's always base. Make sure it's always base, never change it unless you have to. Respawn delay, I always put it to 3 seconds. You could put it to whatever. AI kills, just leave that one. Basically, it counts kills and doesn't count kills for leaderboard purposes. Disabled AI, make sure that's always true, because the last thing you want is AI to take over player-made slots. So basically what this does is whenever you have player slots playable, if you have this set to false or you don't have disable AI in here at all, it's going to replace all the player slots with actual AI in the mission. So make sure that this is always in your description.ext file. Make sure it's always set to true. Respawn dialog, doesn't matter, set to 0. HUD group info, honestly you don't need this. It was something I was testing with, so you could honestly just get rid of that. Class header, so class header, this is like the game type now, so what it'll show up as well as what it'll identify as how many minimum players, maximum players it is needed to play a mission. So if you want to be strictly co-op, or like instead of people going on the mission and kind of playing by themselves, you could set this to 5 people, you could set this to 10. I always set missions to 1, especially for mini ops. For operations and stuff purposes, just leave it as it is. It's best to keep it as it is. Game type, make sure it's co-op. Make sure it's always co-op unless you're, again, running a different game mode. But for now, this is basically the description.ext. There's nothing too much to it. It's really just copy and paste. You could use this in every single mission. You don't have to change anything except for the onload name and onload mission description stuff. So what you're going to do is when you're done with editing this, you're going to want to save it, and then you're going to exit. And now basically you have your basic mission folder complete and the configs and whatnot. So this is really easy to do. It's not hard for the first part. Once you get into more scripting and whatnot, it is going to get a little bit more difficult. But as far as this goes, this is a very simple and easy step here. So other than that, stay tuned in for my next tutorial, and we'll be going over some in-game stuff after this. So go and check out part 2 when you can.